Hi, I'm Amanda Mertz at Did You Stamp Today, and today I will be sharing how to make a quick little fun fold card that is a gift card holder, and I use the Merry and Bright stamp set here, and it's got this fun curved element to it, and then when you open it, you have a little pocket to slide in a gift card or cash or check, but I know a lot of people have a lot of need for cute gift card holders come the holidays, so let's get started and I'll show you how to make this. All right, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to a fellow demonstrator named Teresa Wearmouth, who was very generous in sharing some pictures and how-tos on a card that she had made that I had asked her just how she had made it or if there was a tutorial. But she originally had a fall card that had this fun curved element with a little pocket, and so she was super nice to share some pictures and how-tos. So I just converted that into a Christmas card because that's what I wanted to use for a recent class, and but I just wanted to make sure that I gave Teresa a shout out because she was super nice to be very sharing with her how-tos. So let's get started. I'm starting with a basic white card base and then a piece of 2 by 5.5 inch designer series paper, and that's the Merry Bold and Bright pack, and we've got the little lights on this side, but I am using the polka dots. And we're just going to simply first, we're going to measure 3/4 of an inch in. You're just going to make a pencil mark, and this is going to help you figure out where you need to line up your dies. 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to do the same. I kind of jumped the gun and this one was already marked, but I'll mark it again just to show. Up at the top, and then 3/4 of an inch at the bottom. And you're going to, this is the opening, so you're marked right on the edge. So when you line it up in the die cutter, oh, and we're using the basic borders dies. This is just the straight curved one. You could use any sort of long die to make any kind of cut. If you got the zigzag or the clouds, any of them would work, but I'm just using the basic curved edge. So you're just going to end up lining the edge of the die right next to where you do your pencil marks. And you can always erase the pencil marks if they don't all get cut off. But the trick is to make sure that it's even. You just want to eyeball it and make sure that you have the same amount of overhang on each side. You don't want it like this and like this. It'll kind of throw off your curve. Your curve won't be even all the way across. So you're going to line it up like that. So let me grab my die cutter and I'll show you how to put that through. Here we are with my well-loved Big Shot and cutting plates and all this. If you have the Stampin' Cut and Emboss, that works too. Whatever die cutter you use, I'm not proprietary with that because I have 3 Big Shots from before Stampin' Up! Had their own, so I use what I have. I don't replace a $100 machine. So until one of these kicks the bullet or kicks the bucket, however you want to say it, we're sticking with this one. So again, I'm going to line up where I've got my marks right there, 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch. And I just want to point out this border die is just about as wide as the platform and the base plates. So you just need to be real careful when you're putting it down that you don't have any overhang that's going to get caught when it runs through the machine. You don't want the die to get caught and end up pulling and warping, you know, breaking and, you know, messing up your machine. So just be aware of that when you go in, because usually I would say go, you know, the long ways, but you can't with the orientation of the paper. So you just want to run it through. And show the nice way, nice cut on the card front. You're going to have that piece, and you're going to save that piece. Don't throw that away. Don't throw that away. And then here's the curve. So you can see where it's starting to go from. We're going to set those aside. We're going to pull in our designer series paper. And we're going to do the same way, because remember, our curve is going this way, so we want to do it the same. So we've marked in from the edge. We've got our 2 marks at 3 1/4. And 3 1/4. Just kind of make sure that we have the same amount of overhang at the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to use my tape just to make sure it doesn't spin. And there you go. And I'll show you how, if you do your measurements right and you line your die up on your marks, facing the same way, how both of your pieces will match perfectly. See? And if you do end up having a little bit, that's a tiny, it must have spun. My tape wasn't sticky enough. You can just trim that off, super easy. So not a big deal at all. But if you try to eyeball it, otherwise, you're gonna get one that's like the curve starts up here and it doesn't match. So we've got that. And then let me get rid of all of my pieces here and we can move on to the next step. Okay, my first step is I'm just gonna quickly erase the little bit of pencil mark I can see on the bottom of my Designer Series paper. And we're gonna glue these two pieces together. You could just use the Designer Series paper piece, but honestly, I think using the offcut from the card front, it gives you a nice sturdy pocket. Because if you're having something get pulled in and out, you want it to be kind of snug so it doesn't fall out as soon as the card is opened or anything like that. So that's what I kind of like, to just have a little bit of sturdy paper on the edge. So I just use a little bit of glue on the straight edges all the way across, leaving the pocket part open. And you're just going to line it up with the edge of the card. I'm trying to do all this so I don't get my head over. There we go. There we go. Matches up, matches up. And then next we are going to do our stamping. So I'm going to use a little bit of scrap paper here. I use, when we used to get the receipts, the packing slips in our orders. And I'm using shaded spruce, and I'm gonna stamp the wire. And I just curved this stamp on the block so it would curve along the edge of the card front. Got that, stamp that off. Close this one back up. And we're gonna set that aside for now. And I just have a piece of basic white, and I'm going to stamp my light bulbs, my Christmas lights. I'm gonna start with the Daffodil Delight. And when you stamp these, you want to make sure you leave a little bit of extra cardstock towards the bottom. A little, you know, you want your cardstock to be a little bit bigger than what you think you need, because the die for this shape has this little nub at the end. It's not quite the same shape. So that gives you the spot that you can attach the bases to, so that these have something to be glued to. Otherwise, then you'd be trying to line them up separately. And it's just nice that we have this little extra length. So just make sure that when you stamp that you give enough length, so when you cut it out, you've got the little extra bit of cardstock at the end. And I am living on the edge, and instead of cleaning between each one, I'm just going to start with the lightest, which was Daffodil Delight, and then I'm going to go on to the Melon Mambo, stamp off all the excess on my scrap paper in between. I'm going to stamp that one right there. And then stamp off all the excess, and then move on to the Blueberry Bushel. So we've got some nice bright colors, and I pulled these colors straight from the Designer Series paper. I'm just gonna ink those up, and we've got the Blueberry Bushel. There's all three of those. And then I am also going to use Where did it go? Got lost on my table here. Where is it? Oh, here we go. I've got some of the Granny Apple Green foil paper, and that's what we're going to use to cut out the little bases for each of those. So after I cut those out, I'll come right back and show you how to put the rest of the card together. All right, cut out all my light bulbs and my bases, and now it's time to put the whole card together. And use a little bit of snail on the little tabs. Remember I said to cut, make sure your cardstock was a little bit longer than what you thought you needed for the light bulbs from the size of the stamp, because the die is longer, so it leaves its little tab so you have something to attach your base to. Then we're just going to simply add those on, all 3 of those. Oops, that one's a little bit crooked. And then we're just going to attach them to our card front. A couple dimensionals on each one. And so we get a nice little popped up light. And just kind of eyeball where they go. I guess I'm going to do the blue one in the middle, the yellow one down towards the bottom, and angle them however you want, however it fits with the way you've stamped your wire. And then we've got this one going this way. You just want to make sure they're not hanging off the top so you can fit them in the envelope. All right, now we're going to do the little sentiment on the outside. And since these are photopolymer, I'm just going to get my little pad, my scrap paper. Let's see, let's start with Christmas and the blueberry bushel. And I'm using all my offcuts, my little scraps, my half inch wide, because we're just stamping them and we're going to hand trim them. They do not come with dies for these little square sentiments, which I don't think they need. That would be, I think, a wasted effort since they're so easy to cut out. And let's see, where is my, we go Hava. We're going to do Hava in the Granny Apple Green because that's the same color that matches the spots, and this green is the Shaded Spruce, which matches this. So we've got the Granny Apple Green, the Shaded Spruce. So see how it all pulls together and makes it super easy to do that when you're using colors that are also in the Designer Series paper. You don't have to work so hard to figure out what matches because it already looks good. Stampin' Up! Did all the hard work for us there. So I'm just going to get my snips and just going to cut these out really quickly. And since they're nice, easy rectangles, it doesn't take much. And if you don't have these snips, I highly recommend them. I use the tip all the time to lift up a layer that maybe I've attached a little crooked. I use the tip to pull up rhinestones and gems off the paper. And they're just fantastic scissors for actually what they're meant to be used for, cutting. So if you're trying to fussy cut with some big honking scissors like this, not going to work. You need these nice little sharp tipped, easy to maneuver pairs of scissors. So if you don't have those, put those on your Christmas wish list, because that's something that might seem like a little bit of a splurge for yourself to buy. But if you're asking for Christmas or a birthday, that might be the perfect thing, and you'll use them for years and years. I've had these probably 15 years. So I always say that that's a good investment to have. So let's see. So like in my sample, how I did it, I have them alternating, and then the top two flip open when you open up the card. Oh, and this is one, so you can actually see the inside with the gift card. So let's start with the Hava So of course you don't want to close your flap down, so you only want to put adhesive. I'm using little mini dimensionals. You only want to put the adhesive, let's see, on the edge that's going to be touching. So you want to make sure that everything stays movable. The only thing worse than having an empty card is maybe having a card that you know there's a gift card in there, but you can't get to without ripping it up. So have a Merry, that's straight. I'm trying not to put my head over the camera. And then we'll do the same for Christmas. Since that's a little bit longer, we'll put two right next to each other on the end. And just make sure that we have that over far enough. So I can see where that dimensional is right there. So have a Merry Christmas. Let's see, so far so good. Opens nicely. And while we've got this open, I'm going to just stamp a few little stars in Daffodil Delight on the inside. I'm going to do a couple at the top, maybe 3 at the top, and maybe 3 at the bottom. There we go, and that'll frame the gift card nicely too. And you can also use, since we didn't use the stamp for this on the card, I just used the star for the outside of the envelope as well, because you can't have a naked envelope. So just stamp a few of those on the outside. That's all that needs. Slide this over. So far so good, and it's still looking just a little bit naked. Maybe we need to add one last thing. So we're going to add some of these, what are they called? Iridescent adhesive back dots. Iridescent adhesive backed dots. And so when I did this at class, I told my ladies they could do 5. So we're just going to scatter 5 of these across the card front. And I did 1 of each color. So I've got a little bit of sparkle to go with. Here's my gift card. I'm going to slide that right in. And there we go. So I hope you learned how to make this card and you enjoyed watching the process. I hope you'll leave a comment and let me know what you think. If you have any questions, if I went too fast on something, don't forget you can always like pause it and go back and re-watch the section that you need some clarification on. But again, always just leave a message or a comment and I can get back to you. But thanks so much for watching Did You Stamp Today? I'm Amanda Mertz, and all the items used to make this card, except for the gift card, obviously can be purchased in my online store, and you can find me at StampinUp.com. Just search Amanda Mertz as your demonstrator and I will pop right up. And thanks so much for shopping with me. Have a wonderful day.